Yes?
Yes.
All right, everyone. I will call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, just as a note, an executive session was conducted prior to this meeting for personnel matters. And Commissioner Evans, do we have opening comments?
Yes, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're all in this together. Just a reminder, only questions or statements regarding an agenda item will be entertained under citizens to be heard at the top of the meeting. All other matters will be recognized during public comment at the end of the meeting. There are some changes ahead for the township. We'll have more on that later. The Board of Commissioners is aware of your concerns, and our biggest concern is that your future is a good one. 1 Item 12. We have the best, most honorable, well-led police force in Chester County, if not the entire state. Over a challenging 3-year period that started with COVID, continued with the retirements of many senior officers, and culminated with a dearth of officer candidates, Chief Elias and his dedicated officers kept us safe and never complained about the added stress of being short-staffed. Even last year, through months of constant terroristic threats against CASD that pulled them out of their normal patrols and assignments on a nearly daily basis, they kept their cool and they kept us safe. The chief has been very transparent with us, the public and the board, that recruitment has been difficult across the nation. Nevertheless, his outside the box thinking found a way to attract recruits by offering to pay the upfront cost of sending someone through the police academy, with the township being reimbursed afterward. This approach has been working. We currently have 3 new officers going through field training and another who just entered the academy. Now, none of them count toward our staffing numbers, even though 3 of them are already on duty in count. Once they've all completed field training and they make it through their probationary periods, Cowan Police Department will be back to a full complement of officers by year's end, we suspect. They have a plan. The plan is already in action. The plan will continue to develop as needed. Thank you, Chief. The bridge. The municipal bridge project is nearing completion. Though the contractor faced unforeseen issues below ground that slowed things down and forced additional costs to the project, the bridge will still come in well under budget. Next Thursday, July 20th at 5:30 p.m., we can all experience the glory of Spackman Davis Farms, past, present, and future. Don't miss the chance to be a part of this. Mark your calendars now for the town tour and village walk. Be there for the day Cowan finally claims its place in the lexicon of Chester County history. And when we all work together, there's nothing we can't do. Spread kindness, everyone. Anger, grudges, and resentment are not worth our time or energy. Compassion, empathy, peace, and love, these are what makes the world go round.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. All right, next on the agenda is citizens to be heard.
Mr. Chairman, I have one addition to the agenda before we start that, so that the public can comment on that.
Yes, thank you.
Under additional business, I'll be adding a motion to engage with McGrath Consulting in order for the board to hire interim and/or full-time manager. Okay, so I would make a motion to amend the agenda to add McGrath Consulting engagement for the position of interim manager as well as manager.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 All right, motion's good. Agenda has been amended. All right, now we can reach out to citizens to be heard on agenda items. Okay, we'll go with the Zoom. Yes, Mark.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
Good. One, I was glad to hear Mark say that even with the upcharges, which is what I was wanted to talk about on the municipal bridge and other projects, that we're still going to be under budget. However, what I'm looking at tonight on the agenda is we're looking for approval to pay $91,000 approximately extra, or what the bid was. Is that a correct figure or approximate figure? Is that correct?
90, 92, 90, 93.
That number has changed, striking number 3, that's on the agenda.
Okay, so it's 74,000 and the 16,900. Those two items, the first and second
Oh,
items.
you said striking number 3?
That's the golf course.
Well, no, that's the updated agenda
Okay.
you're looking at.
Okay.
Originally, we had another item on here that is in question.
Okay.
But Carl, if you want to comment on this?
Thank you, yeah. To the point of the question of the approximate 91, yes, those are the two remaining items, the 74,000 regarding the sinkhole soil issues and the 16,900 regarding the stabilization. Those two remain on the agenda for tonight.
Okay. So my second question or follow-up question is, we approved, I don't remember the amount, but at the latest meeting a couple weeks ago, was that also for the municipal bridge, an overpayment for that?
Would the question be related to soft soils at
I believe so. That's why I was asking
Yeah.
that.
Yes, I recall that's what we discussed
Right.
last time. It was the soft soil. Was that from the bridge?
No,
project?
it was for South Lloyd. It
South
was the
Okay.
yeah, it was the block structure walls that were resting on some unsuitable soil. So similar terminology that you had commented on, Mr. Mullen.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, we're looking tonight at $91,000. So my question is twofold. Basically, a contractor generally puts away a 10% contingency fee, which in this case would more than cover what the cost of the actual project is. And the second question is, with their original bid, and I don't want to make this complicated, but say they bid 500,000 and another bidder, the second bidder bid 550,000. So now we're looking at approving 591,000. Would they still be the low bidder? Does that
Well,
make sense?
The other bidder would run into the same issues, which would increase their cost.
Right, but is that part of the contract that we cover those costs, or is that part of the contract is they do the examination, they figure out what they should charge, what they will profit,
Mhm.
and go from there? In other words, give us a set figure of what that budget would be, rather than come back later that is not under contract to be paid more money.
Okay. Yeah, Carl? you
Sure,
wanna
let me
respond?
address, there were two of those, contingency fee and then if these extra costs would be similar across the board on all the bids. The contingency fee, sometimes there is in all of our bids. We never have a line item at the bottom that just says straight contingency. If we're anticipating running into some issues such as rock, if we're thinking we're going to drill or put in a deep manhole,
Mhm.
and we might encounter some difficult excavation, we have separate line items that basically state these are contingency only applicable upon approval. So in this instance, there was no across the board slush fund contingency line item.
Okay. So then the immediate question is, all together, all these projects are costing us $8.1 million. These contractors bid on it with
I'm
knowing,
sorry. I'm missing the question. Yeah,
well, the
give it another
contractors
try.
bid on projects, knowing what the project is. They didn't just come out and, give you a number. They went and did a thorough examination. So why is the township responsible for another $91,000?
Those are unforeseen circumstances that any contractor would run into. I mean,
Okay, but that falls back to that contractor. They're experienced in doing these projects.
But
They
you
have-
don't know what's under the ground until you dig it up.
Yeah, something
Well-
like sinkholes would be considered like an act of God that they don't have control of. It's not something that even Arrow in designing the project or putting out the bid documents could expect that you're going to experience sinkholes. So it's not something that was contemplated as part of the contractor's risk when they entered and provided a bid number. And this is
Okay,
the laws
so-
of procurement allow municipalities when a bid is awarded, if there's a situation like this that necessitates a change order that was not the fault of the contractor, for that to be approved through a change order process like this is.
So the request for proposal that was sent out to these contractors, did that include everything? Or did we miss something? Is it our fault or?
No.
See, my
everything
thought
is
is
in it. Mark, my point here is, any contractor would run into issues. So it doesn't matter who the contractor is, and there will be an additional cost at that time. There have been exceptions where Arrow, our consultant, actually found something that they noticed should have been upfront, and we have not incurred that cost, and they've been honest with that so far. So there have been costs that have not been passed to this township, and they're
Okay.
doing a very good job at managing it. Okay, but these costs here are items that any contractor is going to run into. You cannot predict the work. So
Okay.
I don't know what else, what else
Well,
to say.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't understand why the burden of the cost falls on the township rather than on the contractor.
But it would fall on anybody, because any contractor is going to do the same thing. That's part of the contract. If
No,
we
I'm
run
not
into
saying that
acts of God. So,
I'm
okay.
actually saying, why does the construction cost fall on us when we already agreed to pay X hundreds of dollars?
Mr. DeYoung, we've already answered it. I would like to move on. Okay.
Well,
It just sounds like we're going to
question.
go back and forth about this.
All right, one last question, Paul.
Yes.
Is, we get to comment and we get to ask questions,
Yes.
but there's never a change. I mean, nobody ever votes no after we ask questions. So what point do the taxpayers have in bringing up these questions
But-
if the answer is always no?
Mr. DeYoung, we've answered your question. Whether or not you like our answer, then I guess that's on you, because we're explaining the reasoning for these upcharges, and they are reasonable charges. If they were not reasonable, we would be fighting them, and we have in the past.
Have we ever had a contractor repay us because the job was easier?
Yeah, I would say that would never.
Yeah, I mean, I it was a sarcastic question. I'm sorry, but
Okay. All right.
that was just a way to put it out
Mark,
there.
we understand your concern. We don't want to spend any more money of taxpayer dollars than we have to on a project. We are definitely under budget on the entire project. That does not mean that we want to give out any money, but our staff and our engineer keep an eye on these projects to make sure they're done properly, and there's no additional cost outside of acts of God or whatever you want to call this.
Okay, so then we're still under the $8.1 million budget
Oh, yes.
for all projects.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you. I would only add that being stewards of the township funding that Arrow's in a position to be, there are things that occur in the field that the contractor raises their hand and asks for. It's our job basically to say yay or nay. And there's been times we talk with Ray and we get back to them. It's a no. We don't change the scope. We do look for credits that are applicable as well. So there are things that don't bubble up to this level of a meeting. These costs also have some credits in them, and I'll go through a little bit of that when we're back on the agenda. And
Okay.
we have one more comment from the crowd.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mark. All right, we do have a comment from inside here at the Township Building. Come on up, Cheryl.
Thank you. Cheryl Spalding, 406 Lloyd Avenue.
Welcome.
I would like to speak to almost the last thing, which is a discussion review, or I'm sorry, the acceptance letter of Ms. Den, who is not here tonight. I do have a question, which I hadn't thought of. Is she still an employee of the township?
Yes. Yeah, I gave her the night off so we could talk about her. So let's.
That's unfortunate, actually. I am not a fan of Ms. Den, and I make no apology for that, nor do I, nor is that a secret to anybody. I'm not going to judge from inside the administrative work that Den has done for the township for 4 years. That decision and that judgment comes from the residents of this township and from, I think, something we all hope. We all have families, we have jobs, we have a community, and we hope that when we leave someplace, either because we've moved on or because we've ended our lives, and in my case, I'm closer to the end of this than any of you in this room. And when Jim died in 2020, that was certainly driven home to me. But I think a lot of the residents in this township are going to look back on the 4 years of Kristen Den, and they're not going to judge it well. What you make of that is now in your hands. But as you hire McGrath, which is great, hire somebody to do this, we need to be absolutely sure we do not end up with another Kristen Den. And my objection to Kristen Den, set aside all of the stuff about the management. If I had to say to Kristen Den, it's really kind of unfortunate she isn't here, because this is something Kristen Den needs to hear as an owner of a business and the manager of businesses and all that kind of stuff that I've run. She lacks the ability of empathy and respect for the people that she works for. She forgot when she worked here who she worked for. She didn't work for this board. She worked for the residents of this township. And I'm going to point out 2 things that happened because I kind of like to have them on the record. The first involves my husband. I told somebody this story today, and you will all, many of you remember this story. I stupidly asked Jim, who was a professor at Penn State, numerous universities, owned a business in this community for more than 40 years, successful, to help me in Callan by joining the Historical Society and helping him get that off the ground. And his reaction was, oh, no. And I was like, no, I need your help. And so he joined. And with Paul Stevens, they put together a plan. And that plan was how to put across the historical district, which Mark has now made happen and Paul Stevens has now made happen. That's all wonderful. And he and Paul came to a conclusion that they needed some money. And I think it was something like 30 grand. I don't really recall. And Jim was to present the plan, and he did. And Kristen Den sat at that table and jumped all over him like a dog on a bone and spoke to my husband in a way that nobody has ever spoken to him before. Not in the midst of a business argument, not in any, he debated. I mean, nobody ever talked to him like she talked to him. And to her, I say, she doesn't understand who she works for. But to this board, you all sat there. You didn't say a word.
I wasn't here.
I
You
wasn't
weren't
here either.
Well, some of you.
was
I
not
said
here
only
either.
some of you. Only some of you were on that board. But the board sat there and didn't say a word. I would have fired her. Anybody who owned a business would have fired her. And Jim walked out. He never came back. He never talked about it again.
Jim was a good soul.
Now, he wasn't the only person. A young couple came here a year or so later. They wanted something done. I frankly don't think it could have been done. It wasn't probably something that could be done with their property. They had a problem with their property lines. Okay, I grant it. First time in the township ever. She jumped on that girl like she was a dog on a bone, made her feel like an idiot, and she stood out in this hallway crying. And I walked out and I said, look, I don't know if what you want can be done. I frankly don't think so, but here's the name of 2 real estate lawyers. You use my name, you call them, they'll find out. Nobody should ever walk into this township and ask for anything from that township manager and not be treated with not be mistreated and not be treated with respect for who they are. That is the people that they work for. And of all the things that we send that McGrath group to say that we want in our new township manager, in my view, that's it. If we have a township manager who cares about the people that live here, all the rest can fall into place. You can teach people accounting, you could teach people how to write grants, you could teach them to do all kinds of stuff. You can't give them that kind of empathy and understanding. And that, to me, is what Kristen Dent lacked. And because she lacked it, I personally think it ran over everything she did. So that's my point. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will say this, unfortunately, this is, I don't know how many years ago that this happened. But I will say, speaking with our staff, our directors, the staff that work at this township, she's been doing an excellent job for this township. We've been through COVID, we've been through flooding, the bridges, roads being damaged. This has been nonstop for the last 3.5 years. I cannot judge her prior to this, okay, but I will say what she's done for us in these last 3.5 years. I am so proud of her, okay? And I just, as Mrs. Spalding would like it on the record, so would I. Thank you, Cheryl. And anyone else? Public comment? No? All right. We can move right along. Township Engineer, Carl, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Indeed, there's quite a few items to go through. We're nearing the end on the bridge project, and as we've covered in the earlier session, there's some costs to review. I'm prepared to answer any more questions and provide additional details. Item number 1, this is a request for consideration to approve a change order to the Municipal Drive Bridge Project contract amount. The additional request is a total of $74,198. This is for low bar. This one, as we just touched on, this is specific to when they were doing their subsurface grouting, and they encountered multiple sinkholes. We did go through the protocols that we typically go through, and that is to pause a little bit. We assess with the township, get their input. We evaluate options, corrective actions. Things like this impact schedule, and they certainly impact budget. There was a plan to install 36 holes. We engaged a geotechnical engineer that designed it. We reduced those holes so that we could reduce the overall costs. The cost is primarily related to a grout slurry that was injected subsurface. So with all those things considered, the net result was the increase at the end of $74,198.
Okay, and where were the sinkholes?
The sinkholes were in the Geo Carlson side. There's the road side and the doctor's office side. And when you're at the road side, it was like the northwest corner. So it was primarily related to where the largest scours and the largest subsidence was visible post Ida, in that corner where the bridge dipped the most.
Was it closer to where that generator sat? That
Yes,
corner?
that corner. Yep.
Okay.
Those were where the holes, the drilling occurred in that quadrant, and maybe about 8 to 10 of the into completion is when it started hitting the depths and conditions that we anticipated. It's worth noting we did 3 soil borings previous to the construction and the design. So the geotech engineer did drill 3 holes to evaluate and investigate. Those again are very similar. You spend a reasonable effort in the beginning and a reasonable amount of money to evaluate. And in this instance, they were 3 spread across. They just didn't hit the sinkholes.
Commissioners, any questions on this?
No.
Residents? Yeah, sure. Come on up to the mic. Yeah. Just so the Zoom world can hear you. That's why. Thank you.
This did not happen here, but just recently, the pipeline problem in Exton opened up again in an area that had been thoroughly vetted for holes and it's up, and there's been a couple of these happen all around. I'm wondering if your consulting firm has seen more sinkholes open. I mean, I think that, is this gonna be something we have to now watch out for more carefully?
That's a tough one to answer. Generally, sinkholes are.
Well, thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. I'll be real quick and not go through like a PhD level presentation. Sinkholes are primarily where the soils are like sugar. They're limestone karst deposits, and the more water that runs through those type of soils do kind of evaporate it and have it flow away. The more water that comes into those susceptible soil areas, the more sinkhole activity occurs. So it really depends on geographically where those soils are. Now, for this specific area, for all of recorded history, we've had this stream here, and there are some soft soils, but they're not karst soils, so we weren't expecting sinkholes. The grout program was specifically to shore up and firm up those soils regardless, so that the bridge foundation is up against firm soils. This type of bridge required that effort.
Oh, you mean what, throughout the township? This is a general question, not so much specific. I think she's just looking to,
Okay, like other
for
projects
overall
within the-
information, yeah.
I would answer that with this is on the proverbial checklist for any engineer to go through. If there's subsurface work, they should be engaging a geotech, and it's prudent to evaluate with some boreholes. In our checklist, no, it's important enough to go through each and every time. We generally do look at maps that show where these karst soils are located, and there's a lot of state regulations that just flat out prohibit some activities in karst locations or areas that are prone to earthquakes or things along that line. Yeah, so it's on our radar. It's on everybody's radar.
All right, so no questions, any other, Zoom world, any questions on this? Entertain a motion to approve the change order in the amount of $74,198 to Lobar Site.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tendero, second by Commissioner Young. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's good, 4-0. Do we have Jane online? I forgot to check on that. She said she was gonna zoom in. Yeah, you wanna bring her up? Yeah. We got you, Jane. All right, Jane, you wanna vote? You're muted. Still muted. Yep, there you go.
Oh, yes.
Okay, get your vote there.
Yes.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you. All right, next.
All right, thank you. Item number 2, request for consideration to approve a change order for the same project, Municipal Drive Bridge replacement. This one is in the amount of $16,950, and this one is specifically regarding extra riprap stone that was placed on the upstream side of the bridge. A little bit of background is going into the design, there was slightly different approach to stabilization when the stream was bypassed and it was all dry and you could evaluate. The original plan of over excavating and going up the side slopes and making it wider in that area wasn't feasible. And what was present was a rather significant gravel soil bar. As it turns out, portions on township property, portion of that is not on township property, it's on private property. So again, the protocol is to, evaluate, engage the township, get input from the professionals. And it was determined that this is our opportunity to make a durable stabilization for the water coming towards the bridge, and that's where it was decided that we would need to add the extra rock. There was some rock in the original bid. We just used the same rock and extended it a little bit further. Final note, the original work that I just mentioned was a credit to this, and between some credits and the additional rock, the net result was the 16,900.
I think Commissioner Evans had one question. Did the rock roll?
Only from Mark. Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was bad taste. Right? All right.
But,
Commissioners, any questions on this?
no.
I thought you would like that. Okay. Residents, any questions? I do not see any hands raised here. How about Zoom World? I entertain a motion to approve the change order for the Municipal Drive Bridge project. in the
So
amount of-
moved.
There you go. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Jane. Motion's. good,
Thank you. If I
5-0.
may, I'm going to jump ahead to item 5 because it pertains to the bridge as well. This is more of a routine anticipated monthly invoice. Item number 5, request for consideration to approve. Pardon me, that's not,
4.
it's item 4. Thank
4.
you. Item 4 is application number 3. This is to Lobar Site Development. This is in the amount of $175,292.47. This is for routine bid items that were completed through June 30th. This amount and the 2 previous pay applications, when you combine them, it equates to 89% of the original budget. So that shows you the next monthly and then the final retainage does match up with the, progress of the bridge.
Is it 5% or 10% on the retainage?
Starts at 5, and then when they hit milestones, they can lower it to, starts at 10, and then they can lower it to 5.
Okay. Okay, so we're almost there.
Is that 282,000 or 292,000?
Yeah.
I see 175,000, 282,000, but it was quoted as 175,292.
Did I say 92?
82,
I'm sorry.
47.
The written word prevails. 175,282 and
Okay.
47. Yes.
47.
Okay.
Good, Ray?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Questions, commissioners?
No.
None? Public? Residents? None here in the township? None in Zoom? No comments at this time. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro, with a close third. In favor, say aye.
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 Motion's good, 5-0. Jumping back or going forward?
Thank you. Item 3, we're going to go back up to the agenda and do item 3. This is a request to consider an application pay app 4 to Brightfields. This is in the amount of $2,800. This is for the golf course pump house demolition project. This is their final
Yeah.
application. This was their retainage. Project's been done, and this closes out all activity.
Perfect. All right. Commissioners, any questions? Residents?
No.
Clean cut? All right, all in, no, jump into the, entertain a motion.
So moved.
So,
So moved by,
second.
moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's good, 5-0.
Good. There were no change orders on that project.
Here we go.
That was a simple project, yeah.
Yeah, slipping down to item 5, then this is a request to consider pay application number 3. This is their final pay application. This is to Moore Construction. This is in the amount of $175,985 even. This is for the South Lloyd Avenue Stream Bank Restoration Project. This is more in line with the remaining bid items and their routine monthly payment, and this includes their final retainage as well.
So this closes this project out?
This closes the project out. Punch list items were addressed. This would be the final action.
Ray, you satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Great.
All right, Commissioners, any questions with this?
No. Well
Residents?
worked.
None at this time? All right, entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved? Moved and second, I guess. So moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion's good, 5-0.
Very good. Last item on the agenda, a request to consider approval to payment application number 5. This is to Construction Master Services in the amount of $131,203 even. This is for the Moore Road bridge replacement. This project has been completed. Anybody drive over it yet?
I haven't been over yet.
Yeah, you got to
Not
check it
yet.
out.
No.
I was almost there. Turn around.
We have to try.
But I did see it. It looks
Yeah.
good.
Good.
Did not drive over.
So I just wanted to note that Mr. Mullen, you had mentioned previously on some of our letters where there's one number and then there's a second number. In this instance, they submit a pay application and we don't agree with what they're asking for. So we kind of correct that and short them on that and then work with them to remove it in the future. So that's why this is at 131,203 even.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Commissioners, any questions on that? I did see the difference. Thank
No.
you. No questions? Residents, any questions? Good to know we're done this one.
Yeah, work is done, punch list is done. I think it's in pretty good shape. Ray, would you?
Yeah,
come?
absolutely, absolutely.
And so the final payment is coming and that's their retainage.
Perfect. All
Okay.
right, entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tindaro, second by Commissioner Young. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's good, 5-0.
Thank you. That was the last item on the agenda, but I did want to check and see if you wanted to just touch on Reed Street stormwater improvements. Just to note and for you to be aware.
Yeah, do you want to just,
Yep.
give us an overall?
Good.
What to expect? Thank
So
you.
we had the pre-construction meeting Monday, so this week was the official kickoff. We did have an evening meeting with the residents.
How did that
at their
go?
property.
Yeah, because I saw the letter and
Yeah.
was there a lot of confusion or did we correct
There
that?
was. That's strictly on me, using the word Monday and the date 11th for Tuesday. We did meet Tuesday. Ray was in attendance.
Mhm.
I think there was 12 residents. I had a little board on an easel and I highlighted which ones they came from. They had questions and they walked down for a nice evening. And I think all their questions were answered. The ones that we didn't, we were able to work with Abby to post on your internet website some information,
Mhm.
the first schedule that they provided, and some of the things to expect as they roll out the project in phases, where they're starting, and how the contractor will be engaging the residents to let them know when they'll be reaching their house.
All right, so it went well.
Yeah, they actually, it went real well. They had some good questions, a couple concerns, and we had the answers. And the contractor seems very willing to be cooperative, understands the sensitive nature, so that some of the residents have literally no place to park other than on the road. So I
Right.
think they'll be very cooperative with us.
Oh, good.
Good, all the homework on the easements paid off as well. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. I think the residents were, there were virtually no questions on it. They understood them.
And,
Oh, good.
and Carl, it's probably worth noting, actually, the contractor's mobilized today,
Okay,
I
yep.
believe.
Oh, really?
To start moving equipment out there and some minor marking trees in the easement where the sewer extension is going to go. So
So final thought was, this project is, mostly funded by two grants that you guys were successful in receiving. The H2O grant of 500,000 and the small project grant of 418,599. Those two combined apply to this project. A couple of the finer prints in the contract for those grants was to post signs for the public to see that this project was paid for in part by the state. So we have signs at the end of each street, and I believe there might be some information available to post as well.
Oh, good. And do we have any residents that had a question about Reed Street? I don't know if anybody's attending that is from Reed. Any hands raised in Zoom?
No.
All right, Carl, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Next, we have ordinance. The first one is was tabled 2 meetings ago. Commissioners, any interest in untabling it?
I have not paid much attention to it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, if we
If
want.
we're not ready, yeah,
We wait.
that's fine. We actually had our hands full the last couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. Lorraine, you
Yeah,
okay?
Fine with waiting.
Jane, you okay?
Yes,
Sure, I'm fine.
food trucks.
Okay. And that is the first and second one, so. Finance Department. Moving right along. We have a request for consideration to approve the accounts payable bills, check run 50,363 to 50,429. Was there any questions on the bills?
No, they're not good. ones.
If not, entertain a motion to approve.
No move.
Second,
Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye.
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 The motion's good, 5-0. Minutes to approve.
Are those ones that came out this
Yes,
morning?
I-
I did not read them.
Same here. I didn't
Had a
have a
couple
chance.
of,
neither.
yeah,
Sorry.
that would be great if we could.
Yeah, we're gonna table
Yeah,
that, Denise. Yeah, we just haven't had time to read it. 12 pages of minutes.
15.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, next on the agenda, we have
Next month.
boards and commissions. We can start with Park and Rec. Jane, you up for it?
Sure. We didn't have a meeting due to the holiday, 4th of July weekend, but I do understand that we did show the movie Puss in Boots on July 7th, and it was well attended. So we thank everyone who came out and enjoyed the beautiful evening under the stars watching the movie. And also, we're partnering with the Calhoun Township Police Department for the August 1st National Night Out. And there will be a entertainment, I understand, by Chico 5 and fireworks and demonstrations and lots of activities. So looking forward for all the families to come out that night and support Park and Rec as we partner with the Calhoun Township Police Department. And moving forward, remember to mark your calendars for the Calhoun Township Community Day, and that's going to take place this fall. But I know that the community is very active, getting things ready and prepared to make it an astonishing event, as always. So we always look forward to our Community Day, and I'm sure with the upcoming event at Spackman Farm, remember to mark your calendars. It's going to be a spectacular event. You don't want to miss it. And I know these guys they're not working, they're dreaming of more things to do to reenact life as it was in Spackman Farm. So please mark your calendars and make sure you're there to support the town tours and village walks as we, get a chance to really shine some light on Spackman Farm on July 20th. And I know the tours will begin at 5:30. So, let's get out and let's support this great venture for our township. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Next, we have COG.
There's no new business for COG. Thank you.
okay.
What's that?
We didn't have any new business. We're just, again, reiterating and working on some agendas with our scholarship and some of our classes and getting presentations set up as we move forward for the fall.
All right, thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Next,
Thank you.
Municipal Authority. I I missed the last meeting, but I got my little notes from Scott, so I'll just read those. At the June meeting, they authorized Gilmore to proceed to assemble the bid pack, post for the bid with the anticipated bid opening of November 2023 and the project administration for the 2024 grouting project. Should have led with that. Also at the June meeting, approved the chairperson to sign the financial security agreement and the assignment of easement agreement that's required for the Duckling Early Learning Center project, which is right behind our Royal Farms. And the final leg of the Furmore Homes, or My Place, same name, the extension along 322 was completed July 1st. The contractor is currently completing all the CTMA testing requirements prior to the line becoming active. And final road restoration will be completed later this summer. I don't know if everybody had a chance to drive along 322.
No, not Layton.
And I missed this, the Malley, the auditor, had presented the 2022 audit for the Municipal Authority Board. All right, and with DARA, the DARA board is continuing to review the options related to the draft concept plan for the DARA treatment plant upgrades that will be necessary to properly provide for the additional 1 million gallons of treatment capacity currently sought by all 5 municipalities, and the required upgrades that are needed at the plant. The upgrades are because of the flooding issues. A meeting was held on June 9th with the municipal managers to discuss the design concept for the upgrades and expansion of the DARA plant. The managers generally agreed that the proposed capital improvements were necessary, and DARA should begin looking into financial options and grant opportunities for this project. The managers also agreed that they would have their Act 537 plans updated, completed, and submitted to DARA by the end of August of 2023. We can be hopeful. Just one note there, our township manager, Kristen Denny, had attended. She had the foresight to point out the fact that these upgrade costs, of course, each municipality that is part of the DARA will have to bear this cost, but she had the initiative to say DARA, the board itself, should take out the bond to cover the cost and not the individual municipalities. So it'll take a less burden on us. All right, and just so everyone knows, the 5 municipalities that are part of DARA is Cowan, Downingtown, East Cowan, West Whiteland, and Euclid. All right, and we have the fire board. We have not had a meeting, but I do have on the next agenda, if I'm correct, that we're going to have the fire board agreement.
That's correct.
Okay, we finally got it signed on the other side. So
Hang it.
Denise, if we can, just make sure that's on our next agenda. Historical Commission. I don't know if they have anything to say, but let's hear it.
We never do.
Nah.
Historical Commission met twice since our last update, Wednesday, June 14th, and last night, July 12th. We had a quorum in attendance for both meetings, as well as guests in person and on Zoom. We had one major change to our commission at last night's meeting. Our beloved chair, Paul Stevens, stepped down as he's in the process of rehabbing his new farm in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
He'll stay on as a contributing member until he and his wife leave Cowan later this year. Don Coughlin will remain as vice chair, and we elected a new chair for the remainder of the year. At both of those meetings, we heard updates from all but one of our subcommittees, but kept our focus on next Thursday's historic town tour and village walk at Spackman Davis Farm. I can report that at this point, we are all systems go for a truly extraordinary experience for our visitors from all around the county and beyond. The kind of experience that makes people want to come back to Cowan, to learn more about our place as the heart from which Chester County grew. The kind of experience that makes people want to come back to Cowan to spend money at our restaurants and the new cafes that are on the horizon. All of this can up our earned income tax, attract new residents, drive up property values, head off the need to increase municipal taxes, and provide more funding for our schools without raising school taxes. Like legendary Phillies pitcher Tug McGraw always said, you gotta believe. Not everybody will, but over time, hopefully the evidence will become clear to even the most jaded non-believers. One thing leads to the next, and if our eye is toward making the best of the hand we've been dealt, then we're on the right track. Thank you again to the volunteers who have spent countless hours sweating away inside those farm structures, and to everyone who's never stopped believing. Our August meeting will be Wednesday, August 16th at 7 p.m. You can join us right here live or from home on Zoom. We're a fun group who like getting things done. Please consider coming to one of our meetings.
Thank you, Mark. All right, Lincoln Highway.
I don't really have a report as Commissioner Evans has been quite busy trying to muscle this project through. We are still in, once this is complete, we will get together and reconstitute the committee and work on our strategies. So, you know, this at this point for Mark has been his focus, and that's where it needed to be.
That's good.
Thank you.
Ingleside Golf Course.
Well, our last meeting was postponed, however, due to the weather, but our next meeting is 7/24, which is Monday, 5:45 p.m. Good news is we are on an upward trend of about $21,000. Thank you. We're doing well.
All right. Thank you, Lorraine. All right. Next, additional business. First thing, Ray, you want to take this?
Yes,
Bring
sir.
us up to speed.
So, as part of the Reach Street project, we were reviewing Arrow's original PSA. Arrow's original PSA was actually from June 6th of 2019. So we dusted that off because we obviously have gotten through engineering, design, bid, award bid, as you heard. One of the things that we noticed as part of Arrow's PSA was specific services excluded, and you should have a copy of this in your packet. Construction phase services, including contract administration, review of submittals, response to requests for information, and resident project representative service during construction. What all that means is that we actually do not have a PSA with Arrow for construction oversight for Reed Street. As part of that, and as part of trying to do our due diligence on all of our projects, we requested a proposal from Gilmore Engineering to do construction oversight for this project. Their estimated cost, and again, this is an estimated cost because, you know, we're not positive exactly what all they're gonna run into for construction oversight, review of submittals, the whole 9 yards. And this is pretty inclusive. You'll see on the front page of their service agreement, basically it's soup to nuts. They manage the project, they manage the pay apps, they review any submittals, and they prepare all the closeout documentation. Gilmore's estimate for this project for that oversight is $127,600. Obviously, I can't compare what Arrow would have quoted because we don't have that. I can give a bit of a comparison. Arrow's PSA to get this project to bid and award the bid was $74,550. So our assumption would be at least that, if not more, obviously, because it's more work for construction oversight. Again, we've done some work with Gilmore. Obviously, CTMA uses Gilmore. We had some very honest conversation with Gilmore if they could handle it, if they had the staff to handle it, and they assured us that they definitely have inspectors ready and prepared, and they certainly could handle it. So staff would definitely make the recommendation to enter into a service agreement that's before you, with Gilmore for oversight, construction oversight of the Reed Street project.
Perfect. Commissioners, any questions on that?
No.
127, 600?
600.
And Gilmore's going to be on site for the sewer end of it as well, right?
Yeah, and that's why it kind of in this particular case there's a lot of reasons, but that it just makes sense.
Mhm.
There's a sewer component. They're already going to have inspectors out there. It just kind of makes sense.
I believe so. Commissioners? No comments? Residents?
No.
None in Zoom world? Entertain a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, Jane. We'll go with 4-0 right now. Oh, did we lose her?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll go with 4-0 with the vote. Still passes.
Still okay.
All right. Commissioner Young, do you want to make the motion for the accept the resignation first? Okay. So the next on the agenda, accept a letter of resignation from our township manager that was submitted June 29th. She did offer 30 days notice. She's been very good help in these last few weeks trying to get us to speed on what's going on. So, it's just a standard. There is no severance pay or anything like that. It's just 30 days notice. And based on our employee handbook or manual, she's just paid out what she's owed as far as vacation and whatnot.
Thank
So,
you.
any questions from? Yes, Cheryl, come on up. I'm sorry, we do need the mic.
When you say 30 days, I understood 30 days notice and you're going to pay her for vacation. So when will she actually leave?
Her last day of service is the 29th, is it? 28th of July, yes. And then she'll just be paid for the outstanding vacation time.
And why isn't she here tonight?
I told her to take the night off.
Why?
Why do we need her here?
She's here at every other meeting.
I know.
Well,
She's,
then you had a reason for telling her not to be here. So I would like to know why you well, let me ask the board. Did you tell her not to be here, the board?
no,
I had no communication with her.
Did any of the rest of you have communication about this?
Nope.
Right?
No.
No. Jane? Jane's not with us. So why did you take it upon yourself to tell her not to be at a meeting that she's normally at
is there,
just because you didn't think she should be here?
well, she
That's
actually
rather-
requested, hey, is it okay if I take the night off? Is there something wrong with that?
How many meetings has she missed? When did she ask for that before?
A couple weeks ago?
For health?
I'm sorry?
For health? Or just because
For health?
I don't know. Wasn't she in the hospital or something?
No, it's just,
Okay,
it's
so
no big deal.
You felt she should not be here. Okay, I just want to be sure I understood that it wasn't the board. Thank you.
Sure. Didn't understand that, but okay. Any other comments?
Would make a motion to accept the letter of resignation.
Second.
Moved in second. Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 5-0. All right, I did want to say thank you to Miss Denny for her 7 years of service, and I wish her the best in her future
Yes.
endeavors.
And I just want to tag on, just so the people know, and we have a plan. Our plan is to find and hire an interim manager who will best complement our staff, to engage, hopefully we'll decide to engage with McGrath Consulting to recruit the best candidates to meet the requirements outlined. And that the board has been talking for a while about developing a strategic plan. And so we would like to meet to do that and use the outcomes of that in our search to be sure that we get the best candidate for our future.
So for additional business was McGrath Consulting. It's a firm that actually helps, as Commissioner Evans has stated, helps with search for interim managers as well as a permanent manager. So we're going to engage with them for this process. Not sure how long it'll take. We're assuming 2 to 3 months. Hopefully sooner, but the interim manager would be the most important, just to keep the ship rolling here. Kristen has left an incredible staff. The directors here, they know what they're doing. They're doing a great job. We just need someone, I think as a quarterback, I think that's how it was put, just somebody that they can go to and just ask questions or help them out with certain scenarios. But for the most part, the directors, the staff here at this township, they're on ball. So they know what they're in store for. So, right. But with the McGrath Consulting, I thought it was fair. She's very good in the area. She has a lot of contacts. So I think hopefully it'll be an easy process for us.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones that we reached out to
either.
So, but they're the ones that came in with the best availability and best ideas, and they have a great track record.
Yes. All right. Any questions from residents? Sure. Come on. Okay.
We don't lock it, it's automatically locked. We'll have to talk to the company.
Okay. Is it what at a certain time? Okay.
I've been locked out there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to. Oh, all right. Thank you. Yes, Mark. Mark DeYoung. Oh, you're muted there. I'm sorry. Okay. Abby's working on it.
Good time.
Am I there now?
Yep. There you go.
Just asking, what are the 3 main characteristics you're looking for in a new township manager?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What are the 3 main characteristics that you're looking for in a township manager? And secondly, I guess, do we have a full job description for that position?
Well, we're reevaluating the job description because it is 7 years old, and that will be presented to McGrath Consulting, and they will do the search.
Okay, so
Mark, I think we're still formulating that. We haven't had time to sit down as a group other than tonight to really go over this. So,
Right.
and I think the consultant will help us through that as well. So to answer your question, that's to be determined and what we're working on.
that'll be the starting point.
Yes.
Yes, agreed. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Yes, Tony.
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Tony DeSario.
Yeah, I did see Kristen today at lunch, so she is walking around. Okay. Anyway, my question is, I complained about the camper up on the highway on Loomis Avenue, and it's still sitting there. And I heard Ray in there tonight.
Yes, it is.
The camper.
Hello?
I said
Yeah, the
yes.
camper still.
Yes, Tony, it is.
Yeah, I know that.
I sent a notice of violation. They have 30 days before we
Okay.
can take any, yes, or before we can take any other action.
Oh, okay, that's fine. And what?
Yeah, I
one
just
other
got
thing-
notice they received the certified letter today.
Okay, and Paul, even
Yes.
if you come down to Loomis and Miller, the sign's gone.
Which sign? The
Loomis,
street sign?
Miller, and the Boulevard, the sign's gone.
Are they hanging up in your house?
Just the one that says Loomis. I don't want Miller on mine.
Which one is it, Tony? Geo Carlson or Loomis or what?
I shouldn't say. Mike, you keep going out here.
Tony, which sign is it? Which street sign?
It's the one that says, I believe, Loomis and Miller. It's on the west side.
Okay.
The pole just gone.
I'll have somebody check them.
It was gone.
Just the sign, not the pole and the sign,
No,
right?
pole's gone,
Oh,
but the two Loomis and Miller, the sign is gone.
okay. The pole's there, but just the sign's gone.
Yeah, I just, I didn't know if the township took it and, and it was correcting it or fixing it or something, but
I'm gonna have
All
to
right,
check
that's
your
all.
house, but
Pledge
we didn't take
season,
it.
we'd
oh,
have an
I
answer.
got most of them in my basement.
Now I'll have somebody look into it and get it replaced.
All right, Ray. All right, thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you, Tony. Hey, Tony, what's your address? Just so everyone knows.
251 Loomis Avenue.
Thank you. All right. Put on record. All right. Thank you, Tony.
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
Entertain a motion?
So
to approve.
moved.
McGrath, so moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Young. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Is that a aye there, Jane?
Yes, aye.
Perfect. All right. All in favor? Yeah, we did that. Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Perfect. And we will keep you posted on how it's going. We actually have an interview set up, hopefully in a week and a half, for an interim manager. Okay. So
We'll be one of a few.
yeah,
So-
yeah, but yeah, we've been we hit the ground running.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago when we first found out. All right. Next on the agenda,
Just
public
waiting for
comment.
the chief to say he's gonna take the job. No.
Do we have Yvette Smith here? Yvette, welcome.
Yvette, hi.
That,
My name is Yvette Smith. I reside in Valley Township at 925 West Main Street, Coatesville. I am also a member of the Planning Commission at Valley Township, but I'm here.
So you know what we go through here. Okay.
This has been entertaining. I'm here this evening because I have to utilize the LabCorp in Thorndale that is next to the Apothecarium dispensary. So I was there last on June 28th. And upon entering, my previous time being there, I have Lyme disease, so which I just found out last year, and so I'm keep having these flares. So I was at the LabCorp last year for a bunch of labs, and again in April, and didn't encounter this issue. So when I went on June 28th, upon entering, I was hit with that skunk-like smell of the cannabis, and I was taken aback because it was so very strong, thick, even, if you will, without it being thick in the air. And so after I checked in and waited, I just decided to stay in there, not thinking anything about anything. Another woman who was invited to come here this evening, named Wendy, had come in to check in, and she made the same comment upon coming through the door about the smell, how bad it was, and she went on to express to me how she's allergic to the marijuana fumes and marijuana smoke, and that issue has been going on for quite some time at LabCorp. And so I sat there probably about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I started having a lot of chest tightness and nose irritation. And just a part of my history, I can't be around individuals who smoke. I am a registered nurse and I used to do home care. And several years ago, I don't know what happened. I just developed this high sensitivity to cigarette smoke that it would burn my chest, my nose, and just really mess me up for the rest of the day. So I, try to watch my environment. And so anyway, I had to leave. I walked out of the LabCorp, and when I walked out to just get some fresh air, the lady Wendy was in her vehicle, and then another woman named Ebony, who turns out to be one of the supervisors at that location, asked me if I was okay. And I told her, what was going on, the smell. And so she went on to let me know that this is a daily issue and complaint that she receives from multiple patients that come to LabCorp to get services.
And where is the odor coming from? Is it from the vehicles, like people sitting outside, or is it from the store itself?
I'm supposing it's a ventilation issue.
Okay.
So when I went that morning, it was about 7:30 in the morning. There was no one. I think there were two gentlemen that were standing there. Might have been at 8 o'clock, wanting to get in or waiting to be able to get in. So nobody was there. The only cars that were there at that time were for specifically for LabCorp. So something's going on interiorly, probably through the walls. The ventilation system is my assumption. So she also was invited to come here this evening, and she did want me to express that on a daily basis she's having to field multiple complaints from patients that come in there, as well as she's having to let them know that she feels like that there's nothing that she can do because she's not the one who gave the lease to the Apothecarium dispensary, or she doesn't own the strip mall or whatever. So I asked her if, again, if she and the other lady, Wendy, would, accompany me here. I was going to send a message, which I did, to you all to present this. My concern for myself and others is the fumes that are taking place. And like myself, I don't look ill, but I have something that's major, and I can't have biotoxins coming into me, for something that I have to get blood work regularly to check my status or whatever. I can't have this continue on. So I did, in preparation for this evening, I just wanted to read some things because I know this is probably on a state level, as well as a local level, as far as the fact that these dispensaries are present and in operation. It's my belief that nobody did the quality improvement task of comparing it to secondhand smoke. There's nothing on the state level. There's nothing on the Pennsylvania Department of Health Office of Medical Marijuana report that even considers that in the welfare of non-users. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to read this information. So there's multiple research studies that indicate that cannabis or marijuana, like tobacco, also produces secondhand fumes that present negative health impacts to non-users. It's problematic for many individuals that have illness, and in particular illnesses that impact their lungs, their breathing, and their biotoxicity levels. in 2018 and 2019, a research study was done actually in California, and it's called the PM 2.5 concentrations in the smoking lounge of a cannabis store. And it was looking to look at the exposure of airborne cannabis fumes in a cannabis store and a nearby coffee shop. So when I found that, I was like, okay, this kind of mimics this entire situation. Halfway through this study, the cannabis store installed a ventilation system, but the results of the study, so what the researchers did is they tested the air quality with certain instruments to be able to detect how much of this the PM2.5, which is a particulate matter, it's an air pollutant, which is also has carcinogens in it. So they were detecting that, and during the halfway through the study, the cannabis store installed a ventilation system. But interestingly enough, the numbers only reduced by 12.2% of that particulate matter.
Mhm.
And it was considered to be not statistically significant to reduce the impact on air quality for non-users or adverse health events.
And let me just ask you this too. I mean, nobody's smoking in the store, right? Is
Well, I
this
mean,
just from the
yeah.
product itself?
Legally not allowed to.
Yeah,
From the
they're
store
not
next
allowed to
door.
smoke in the store, and they're so federally regulated.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not, or
But-
state regulated. I'm sure it's not the case.
Can I just make a
Yeah,
suggestion? I
yeah.
mean, when
Ms.
these
Camp, our
uses
solicitor.
came into Pennsylvania, they are extremely, as you meant, as he just mentioned, the state has strict regulations on these. I think and I'm not, your concern is very valid.
Oh,
I think
very
my suggestion would be to contact the state that issues the license for these facilities and see if because I know there's inspections that happen. They're required to have inspections. So that would be my first recommendation. The second is the township can make a voluntary request. I don't think the township has any authority to mandate that they do anything. I think that comes at the state level, but the township could ask and just say a complaint has been provided,
Right.
brought to our attention.
So-
Would you look into it? But it definitely is at the state level that issues the license.
Right, I agree that it's probably multi-level. From the local level, they would have had to go through the fire coding, the building coding, all that. Would that have come from the township level? So what I'm saying, it's in existence, it's going to be there. There's a ventilation issue, which is described through the several research studies. Unfortunately, the research studies are lacking. I don't know why, because it's just common sense that if tobacco is an issue and is causing, secondhand issues for people, then cannabis and cannabis products would also do that. On a pediatric level, there's concerns for the pediatric, children being in an environment where cannabis is used. So somehow this got overlooked, but I digress.
Can I just jump in for a second? Look, can I jump in here for a second, please? Ms. Smith, I'm like you. I know I don't look like it, but I can't stand smelling hot smoke.
Well, it's
And-
not so much
and-
about not standing it. It's the health
effect.
Right,
impact.
yes.
So people that are
And
having to go to LabCorp, like myself, you have elderly going.
I'm
So
agreeing
can-
with
that-
you.
Can
I'm
I
ag-
just finish what
Yeah.
I'm saying here?
'cause I think it's the people buying the stuff are using it in their cars or outside
It's
the building
not,
because they're
no. Okay, so I welcome all of
Pointing
you
out,
then
yeah.
to go to LabCorp
Yeah.
and go get a whiff
Mm.
and see how strong it actually is. It's not a car. It's not someone sitting out in their car.
Mhm.
It's inside.
Mhm.
So
No, it's a valid point.
I'm with you. I don't want it to be
what
happening.
what I'm asking is that
Yeah.
I appreciate Solicitor Kristen, your suggestion. I do want to take it probably to the state level, or at least to the Department of Health level, because from my understanding, they are supposed to or can make random inspections. and take complaints from people. LabCorp, the supervisor there, had suggested that the township do some kind of survey. That's what she was asking because she feels like her hands are tied with the issue. A survey of the patients to
Yeah, I'm not sure if the
voice their
township can
concerns.
actually do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can send out a letter to LabCorp or to,
Apothecary.
Yeah.
yeah, thanks.
The apothecary.
No,
No,
It-
no, it's right next to the,
Right next
Apothecary.
door,
Right.
Yes.
yes,
right.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think the issue is smoking inside the building. I think it's the product
It's
itself.
the-
it's not. It's the product. It's
That's what she's
cannabis
pointing out.
in itself is strong. Well, maybe their ventilation system. That this is my question about.
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
guess from the coding level.
Mhm.
Do you know whether the ventilation system was retrofitted for this apothecarium to be up to standard and code for the use of
Don't.
cannabis and selling cannabis product?
No, because there is no requirement for that in the Pennsylvania Building Code.
And there should be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. didn't
I
go in
believe
there.
this is gonna
I
be a
just
bigger
walked
fight,
in-
yeah, than just
into-
our township. I believe you needed to, take the next step with the state level. I mean, on our end, we can send out a letter.
And if you email me, I can also do some research on exactly where to contact the state for, a potential violation for you.
Okay.
But the building code was filed. I mean, the ventilation is per the building code.
It sounds like something else needs to be done, but
Right.
I think
I'm
we
just
have
saying,
to.
I have to wind up going back there.
No, I
And I
understand.
feel for the other patients
Mm-hmm.
that are complaining on a daily basis and nobody's hearing them.
Oh, no.
It's seriously impactful. Like it's equivalent to, how we get these air quality advisories.
Mhm.
Well, this this particulate matter 2.5 is a primary killer
Mhm.
of people worldwide. And so it's equivalent to that being told if you have respiratory conditions or illnesses and things like that to not go outside. And people are having to come outside to go to the LabCorp and being immediately hit with that. And the stench is there. So it's not only patients,
Yeah.
the staff themselves are having to work within that environment.
Mhm.
So that's also predisposing them to heart problems, respiratory problems, psychoactive issues,
Right.
all that. So I hear what you're saying, but on some level, if you can do something, reach out to
Yeah.
somebody.
Can we have the chief? The chief wanted to speak, I think, didn't he, Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cheryl, go ahead. LabCorp, yeah.
I don't know who the owner is.
Well, okay, and Chief, did you want to chime in?
So the Clean Indoor Act of 2008, right, is regulated by the Pennsylvania Department of Health, not the Pennsylvania Crimes Code. So if there is illegal marijuana use inside the facility, it gets complicated when it's inside versus outside because the laws of search and seizure apply. I guess my question for Director Stackhouse would be if we can determine where the air intake is for the LabCorp. And the reason I mention that is because if there is marijuana use outside, right, and the intake for the HVAC system is near where employees or pedestrians or people who are coming out of the apothecarium or the methadone clinic are are congregating and smoking marijuana, then it's possible that that air could actually go into the HVAC system of the LabCorp. And I mention all of this because in the last 6 months alone, well, the last 3 months, we've had 21 drug arrests, 34 through the end of June, which in my 11 years is more than we've ever had in over a year. And most of them are vehicular and pedestrian stops along Lincoln Highway.
Wow.
So we will certainly look into it. I don't know if there aren't people smoking marijuana in the exterior of the building, that there's much we could do about the interior, because again, it's, as I think everyone has mentioned here, that's regulated by the Department of Health.
Okay.
We can look
But we'll,
into it.
we'll look into it. And
Yeah.
like, I appreciate you coming here and letting us know, because, you know, my officers, I'll let them know, and they can make drive-throughs to that parking lot, you know, when they patrol the highway.
Well, I think you hit on what I think the issue might be, because I don't know what's behind the building, but I do believe that the ventilation system is shared. And I only say that because, you know, that strip mall has been existing forever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you
Your
know,
building
when
is-
thoughts are built, there, I don't,
Yeah. you
thought's
don't
not
know.
gone into that. So like, you could be in one establishment and smell the food from another establishment
Yeah.
coming into where you're going.
Yep.
So I think it's a ventilation issue. One of the an expert article I read mentioned about the HVAC system and having what did that person say about having an ionizer and a charcoal type thing put on the exhaust, the exit exhaust. So I don't know if a modification can be made. I'm not asking them to be removed.
Right.
What I'm saying is for the safety of myself and others that have to go into the next establishment.
All right,
Um,
Yvette. Thank you. Yep. I think, you know, our staff will look into
Yeah,
this.
we'll look into the obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and see what,
Thank
if
you
any.
very
Okay.
much.
Will you guys reach back out to me, or
Yes.
do I need to follow up with you?
Yeah. No, we'll reach back out to you, but if
Okay.
you don't hear from us in a couple days, hey, feel free.
All right, thank you.
Really, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes. Kimberly, come on up. I know I didn't get back to your email there, so
That's okay.
that's all right. You can see we've had a couple other
been
things
a little
going
busy.
on,
I
so
saw when I finally saw the agenda. I'm like, oh.
yeah,
okay.
unfortunately.
So,
Yes. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate the time.
Hey,
Kristen.
so
See
I'm
you,
here about-
ladies. See you, Cheryl. Yes, Kimberly.
Hi.
Welcome.
Kim Gibney, 358 Carlin Court, and in Downingtown, and I'm here to talk about the sidewalk issue again in Beaver Run Knoll, or down Geo Carlson on the other side towards Lloyd.
Mhm.
And Mr. Stackhouse did reach out to Gilmore and Associates and provided me with this, and I think you all, he said that
Yes.
he provided it. So
Thanks, Ray.
I
you.
was,
Thank you.
He did. I haven't looked at it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's
No?
been-
Okay, well, the issue is that the deadline for a preliminary, the good news is that the deadline for the preliminary application has been extended to not Monday, which was the original, but to Friday, the 21st. So it gives another work week. I have a virtual meeting with Joe Banks tomorrow to talk about this.
Mhm.
But I'm gathering from the response, and I understand that, my question is, are these numbers out of line? These three sections are not necessarily all Beaver Run, particularly the last one.
Mhm.
It looks like Beaver Run would be about to get over the bridge is, as we expected, is the biggest issue, the 56,000. So is Township interested in partnering with us? Would there be, and I don't know that you can answer these questions tonight, any financing from Cowan Township to help or do all of this preliminary stuff in order to get this set aside? I think we have a good shot at getting these monies to do this project. But I don't want to miss the preliminary application
And you need to file next Friday?
by next Friday.
commissioners, any comments on it? Cause it,
The problem is we didn't budget for any of this, and it's coming in about where I thought it would come in.
Right. Like I said, you don't want to go down. I think you were talking about stages.
Yeah.
And the first stage would take us, I don't know the footage beyond the stream, which is Beaver Run, but still Beaver Run. So we're we're somewhere in the middle of this last part. The 56-630 gets us over the stream, and I don't know how far down the road from the stream. Those first two things would be.
yeah, I don't have it in front of
The
me.
commissioners, the only thing I would add is just keep in mind, I only reacted to what you guys asked me to do, but so this is purely just engineering. This isn't DEP permits. This isn't
doing the job.
This isn't survey. This isn't, and we haven't even gotten to construction costs. Like I said, this isn't survey, permits, construction oversight, any of that. So just, and I only say that because I just want to make sure you understand.
Yeah.
This was only from like how to engineer it, and it may be about $45,000 depending. Again, we broke it.
Right. Yeah, but what are the other things? I mean, I'm not obviously familiar with everything that goes on before.
So, and Abby would be able to speak a little bit too, because of what she's dealt with the trail. But besides engineering, which is just designing it,
right,
you would have to do surveys. You potentially, not potentially, I know you would probably have to have DEP permits because we're coming near a stream.
Right.
There would be construction costs. There would be construction oversight.
Right. All of that. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, probably up to the permits is what isn't covered, would not be eligible for refund by this program. But
So
the
if
program,
we took the segment here of 40-some thousand, add probably double that for surveying, construction oversight, DEP permitting,
and legal,
and then legal, and we would need the easements. So we're probably talking, $80,000.
and I understand that, but it was also stressed to me by Mr. Banks that this is not going to happen by next year. It's a 2 to 4 year process to get the whole thing done. My concern is that right now in 2023, they have doubled their budget. I don't know that that's going to be the case in 2024 or 5, and we have a good shot this year at doing it. I mean,
Let me ask you this: is it a commitment to do this, or this needs to be done before the award is given?
what needs, that you need to be reimbursed at the end.
No, what I'm saying is, do we need to do all of this up front before we're even
What's all of
awarded?
this?
So all of the design, permitting, like let's
Okay,
say we
I
just
hear what you're
let's say
saying.
we put an application in,
Right.
and we're awarded then can we start? Or is this all of this pre-stuff needs to be done prior?
I will ask
to-
that question to Mr. Banks
okay.
tomorrow. I do believe that it doesn't all need to be done, but we have to have a pretty firm estimate of what the costs would be.
Okay.
And they build in some contingency fund into that, and I do think he said 10%, but I'm not positive.
Because if this is a multi-year, step, we could budget it. We could talk about
Right.
budgeting it for next year.
Right.
Because right now we've got to get through the projects we've already got underway to make sure that we have enough money to sustain them.
Yeah.
Before we would allocate any money towards sidewalks for this.
So if I have I'm going to have my meeting with Mr. Banks tomorrow. If I have questions that are on this preliminary application, like what are your longitude and latitude and what, and things like that I can't answer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll call Abby. I was gonna say, is there somebody in the township who might be able to help me finish this application? And I'll start with using these numbers that Mr. Stackhouse provided and see what Mr. Banks said about it. But if he tells me something different tomorrow than what he told me before, then I'm just gonna put something in. I don't want to miss the
Yeah.
the final
Do
application.
they offer that every year though?
I'm sorry.
Do they offer that every year?
I think they
Oh.
do. He just said that, I think they have for several years. I don't know the whole history of it.
Okay.
Probably what they're using is the rest of the American Rescue money, the ARPA money.
Oh,
And
Their
so,
budget is double this year.
yeah,
Oh,
that's what
okay.
they're using the
That's why-
ARPA money
The
to
money's up for
supplement
grabs.
the, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why I don't want to miss it.
Okay.
So-
Understood.
Because we
I-
certainly don't have the money.
I guess sitting here today, I couldn't commit to moving forward because we've got to do it during a budget process.
Okay.
So, you know, if awarded, awarded a grant that covered most of the sidewalks, then
Don't say
yeah,
that word.
awarded a monetary stipend that it would get us most of the construction costs, then we're looking at a totally different number. But the problem too is, let's say, and I know he says we have a good shot at it,
Mhm.
but if we spend all this money and then we're not awarded
Right.
then we've spent $80,000 to put it on the shelf.
I
to-
don't think it's required for the application for that very reason. I mean, they're the people that apply are townships. I mean, they know people don't want to spend
Right.
money for nothing. So
So I mean, it as a budgetary process, if we applied and were awarded the whatever we're calling it, we could build that into our budget for next year. But sitting here today, I can't say that we can move forward with that expenditure.
And we did have a comment from Donna.
Donnie, you have to
Hi, come up to the mic. I'm sorry.
Give your name and address.
So they'd be on Geo Carlson on the east side. So they would come out of and come up to Lloyd Avenue is where they're asking us to put the sidewalks.
On both sides of the road?
It would just be on one side
Yeah,
of the road.
just one.
They said the east side.
if you're going towards Lloyd,
Okay. I'm right on the corner of Lloyd
Right, are you on the
and
right or the
Geo
left?
Carlson. I would be coming from Beaver Run. I am on the right.
Yeah, we're talking about the left.
But even then, I mean, if we have, for anybody, if we had sidewalks, if somebody falls on our sidewalk, are we liable?
Mhm.
Okay, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm opposed to sidewalks.
So the
Really be
the-
fighting it was on my.
the first stage that they're asking us for to talk about is on their HOA property up to the stream. So that's what we're really talking about here.
Over the
Over the stream, sorry.
we have put in sidewalks ourselves. I mean, the township has done some, and then we've done sections, but the stream makes it impossible for us to. We won't be able to afford to do that.
Yeah, Donna, you make a good point, but Don, if you could just state your address as well, so we have that on the record.
584
Okay. Yeah, and
584 Lloyd
yeah, that way-
Avenue, Donna Hetzel.
thank you. No. But you bring up a good point, because if we do the sidewalk further down, even on the left, it's going to be the back end of other properties, and these folks would have to maintain that sidewalk. So,
Right, I understand that.
okay,
So maybe the letters need to go out to all the homeowners on Joe Carlson whose property is on
Mhm.
the backs. I mean, I think.
Yeah, is
everybody
it-
should, You know, I live in that area and I've never heard anything about this before, so I just think that all the
Yeah.
homeowners should be made aware and be able to voice their opinion on it.
no, good point. Yeah, with the
It's very
Beaver.
preliminary, by the way. I mean, and we were asking just for Beaver Run. Right.
And Donna, I have a question since you're up here, because these folks are coming out of their development out onto, what is it, Lloyd, making a left, trying to get over to Royal Farms or whatnot. Do you see a lot of foot traffic right by your house coming up around from Lloyd Farm?
Yeah, going on the property.
Does it look dangerous?
Well, the traffic.
Any injuries?
The traffic, you mean?
Well, the pedestrians. That's what we're concerned about.
Yeah.
Walk on Lloyd Road and walk down.
Right.
Walk down to Joe Carlson to go to Lloyd.
But there is like a bike path, like on
Where's the bike
like
path?
in the street.
Well,
Because when I walk my dog down.
No,
there,
it's
and
just for
there's-
white line.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not- well,
It
Well,
is
here's the
is
thing,
that
we
on
should-
Lloyd or is that on Beaver Run?
it's on
Geo Carlson, I
on
mean.
Geo Carlson.
Okay.
But that bike path, if you notice, has glass in it from people throwing stuff bottles in there.
Oh, really?
Little- If you ever walk down there, the whole, because a lot of people take that for exercise,
Mm-hmm.
either side. And the side that has a lot of their trees that were never moved when they did that, there's pine cones and all kinds of stuff that gets in the street. So, that's my concern there. It didn't work when they wanted to do that bike path, even though people do use it. I mean, they got to be careful, especially with the glass and stuff.
Who's
that ends up on
responsible
the
for
road there.
cleaning that up? Is it a street cleaning or?
I guess me.
Oh.
Cleans a lot of it up, my husband.
Oh, really?
He
Yeah,
goes
the
out there,
lottery.
he goes out there, even across the street over from Lloyd Farm.
Mhm.
People throw trash over and he goes out there and cleans it.
2 years
Oh,
ago.
okay. And the
2 years
bars,
ago, there was nothing but lottery cards all down Geo Carlson Boulevard. People
losers,
throwing
of
them.
course, right?
Loser, yeah.
Yeah, not
On
the
my
winners.
side, yeah.
No winners.
So, all right.
I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
In the application, it says, it asks for the sponsor and co-sponsor. Is it acceptable for me to preliminary say Calhoun Township as a co-sponsor? I just think it would provide more weight to the application. I can ask Joe if that's a problem if we need to drop Calhoun Township, but later down the road. But again, we'll have to drop the whole thing. Frankly, we'll have to drop the whole thing if we can't get Calhoun Township to buy into this, because we can't afford it.
For the full project,
Or
even for a section of it.
even for getting over the stream to the end of Beaver Run.
Mhm.
I mean, there is considerable pedestrian traffic for exercise, for getting to Royal Farm, to whatever. Lloyd is horrible. I know nobody wants to do anything around Lloyd because of the construction that'll happen in 10 to 20 years.
At some point.
Yeah. My first house was supposed to be condemned 30 years ago, and it never has been. People are still living in it. So anyway, for construction,
Mhm.
road construction. But anyway, the answer, I don't know if you have an answer to that question I had. Would it be possible for me to put Calhoun Township down?
I think that's too much of an obligation without further information, though.
Yeah, I'm the guy who likes to say the impossible is possible and do things in ridiculously short amount of time. And I've been pretty lucky, but I haven't had to deal with an $80,000.
Yeah. Think of it.
I believe
it's the
in
timing
what
of
you
it.
want to do. I just wish to God we knew about this at
I know.
budget season
I
last
didn't know
year.
about it either. I just
And,
happened upon it.
So,
So like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Back in the day when they did developments, like the one I grew up in, which they didn't call developments, it was just construction, everybody had sidewalks. You had them on both sides of the
Mhm.
streets. Everybody had to maintain them. Everybody ran the risk. That's what homeowners insurance is for.
Mhm.
There's 10 people on the whatever side. What side did you decide you were on? North or south? The other side.
Yeah, right.
There's 10 houses on that side total that
Mhm.
would be impacted by this.
Mhm.
When you're talking about life and death of people walking on the road, more so on Lloyd than Geo Carlson, I'll give you that.
Mhm.
I don't think that it's impossible with an easement or whatever it takes to build sidewalks along there.
Mhm.
And we're not talking no houses on that side of Geo Carlson are closer than 30 feet to the road. They're probably 50 feet from the road.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of space for a sidewalk. But that's not even the section I'm talking about right now.
Right.
We're talking about the Beaver Run part, which then we could add on to. I mean, frankly, I would submit the whole thing just to see what they would give us, you know, just if we get the money, we get the money, you know, but back to my question of whether or not, and I can ask Joe Banks and ask him, the township hasn't had enough time to consider this thoroughly. If I put them down as a co-sponsor, can I, you know, and they decide, no, we'll just have to drop the application.
You can't apply without us as a co?
We would not have the money to do all the
do
things
the
that
fund-
they need.
okay.
I mean, I will get the firm list from him as to what it will not pay for,
Okay.
the upfront thing, so I know firmly what that is, and I
Okay.
can convey that to.
If you can, yeah, send it to us.
I'll convey that to you after my meeting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's this and more, no.
Yeah.
we don't
No,
have
it's,
that much. We don't
yeah,
have those funds.
and there's a lot more involved. I mean, the
Right.
construction
And then
alone.
let's say we do the whole thing. If a resident won't give us an easement and we want to move forward, we would have to go through with condemnation
Mhm.
and take the land.
I think the first question is to find out how far the easement is and to look at the property lines and
Yeah.
see if it's.
Well, that's what the survey would do. That's on top
Right.
of
Right.
what, like Mr.
Right.
Sackhouse said.
And if the sidewalk needs to be adjacent to the curb, or whether it can be 2 feet in from the curb, whatever. I know that that Beaver Run would give you what you need to, you know, to get it done. So.
Yeah, I'm willing to discuss it as part of the budget for next year.
Mhm.
I can't commit to today.
Right, no, I understand
Yeah,
that, and
that's
I'm off of that. This is just application time. We won't even know the award until spring of the following year. So I get back to the question, is it okay for me to put down Cowan Township or not?
And again, that would have to, unfortunately, that would have to come at our budget time when the five
Well,
of us
No,
decide.
no, I'm just talking about the application.
I think, yeah, for today, I mean, we would say no because,
Right.
yeah, we're not prepared for it. If you can apply and see what you can get out of it, we can revisit this for next year if they're going to have the
Right.
monies available as
So
well.
when I apply, I can only apply for the Beaver Run property. I
Right.
can't apply
Yeah.
for the township property.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go that route. And I did want to throw this out there too. Two things, Cheryl. I was kind of thinking around the same thing, having like a bike trail down there, and then I realized you had mentioned that there's cars speeding up and down that road.
Yeah, and there's a big
So
yeah.
so the
there's a-
barrier, yeah.
And there's an
I don't know if
S-curve
it's wide
and-
enough.
They do, because the people, whoever they are, they
Yeah.
know it's a dead end and they're just gonna go
Yeah,
as
they're-
fast as
yeah.
they can.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no cops, there's no nothing. And, and I'll be honest, our pedestrians, especially the teens, it's
Mhm.
the teens, they don't give a crap about what side of, the side of the road. They're in the middle of the road and they wear black at
Yeah.
night, always.
And the other thing too, I know Abby's working on this. The trail coming out the back end of your development
Right.
is going to actually bring you out to Lloyd Avenue. That is probably going to happen
Is it
sooner.
really?
Yeah.
Where is it coming? I spoke with Abby before about
Oh,
the
okay.
trail to find out where it was. That would require us to go. We're in a different spot now. So anyway, the dog park's in a different spot. But
Oh,
oh, you're.
oh yeah.
So
But that might be an alternative for folks to walk out to Lloyd Avenue. And of course, if that Lloyd Park or Lloyd Farm actually gets developed of some type, hopefully we would have sidewalks that come up and around. And
Okay.
of course, it depends on PennDOT,
mhm,
how they're going to do the interchange.
right. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of variables, but keep plugging away.
Does anybody here have any knowledge, information about when PennDOT might get to that construction?
You probably have better
And so while I know that that's going to happen at some point,
Yeah.
I don't know that it's actually relevant to the conversation now, because we're talking about Lloyd Avenue is very dangerous
Yeah.
to walk on, and people are walking.
Oh my God, I know.
Yeah, and people are walking on it because they want to go to Royal Farm or they want to
Mhm.
go to Taco Bell,
Hmm.
and they don't have cars or whatever. So
Well, when you're talking to Abby, just, hit her up about that information about the trail. Because
Okay.
that might be a quicker solution by the time we get to all the sidewalks.
okay, all
Yeah.
right.
And there's
Thank you.
And there's other state grant money out there to help with sidewalks too, isn't there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've talked.
Well, we used sidewalk grant money from the federal government on Lincoln Highway. That section from Bondsville Road to Municipal Drive was $1 million grant from the federal government. So there is money out there.
Okay.
I say that we discuss it at budget time and try to allocate some money towards that.
And when is budget time?
Budget time is October, November.
Okay.
And I would also
For next
reach
year.
out to your House representative is Danielle Friel-Otten. She's great. She is really on top of things like this.
Okay.
I've spoken with her about sidewalk grants and stuff, so
All right, great. All right, thanks so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right, any other public comment? Any hands raised? No, none at this time? All right, well, I will entertain I'm so moved.
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.